have you ever seen this effect? Looks pretty cool, right? It's called the Dolly zoom, or sometimes also the vertigo effect, because it was first used in Hitchcock's movie Vertigo. Since then, it's been used in a lot of movies. Another famous scene is this one from Jaws. This effect creates a surreal feeling of surprise when the subject is realizing what the f is going on here. Some kind of realization, and then the distance between two states of emotion. Of course, you can do this with any kind of subject, but I think it looks really cool when it's a person. I'll show you 4 different ways to do this. In camera with a zoom lens, but also without a zoom lens. And that means faking it in an editing program like Premiere or Final Cut, Davinci Resolve. There are pros and cons to each of these techniques, so I'll talk about those too. Okay, so to do this, you need a zoom lens, because it's the movement of the zoom while moving the camera at the same time that creates this cool effect. I think you get the best results with a wider zoom, something like this, 15 to 45. Also use autofocus, because you don't want to deal with manual focus while doing all these movements. It gets way too complicated. What you need to do is zoom all the way out, frame your subject, and then move back while zooming in. And the key is to keep your subject the same size in the frame at all times. Of course, you can also do it the other way around. Zoom in from a distance and then move closer while zooming out. Now, some disadvantages to this technique are that, first of all, you need a very steady hand. I've tried with and without stabilization turned on, but it's not easy. The problem in my case is not so much my hands actually, but I tried this with my Canon M50 and the 15 to 45mm kit lens. Because, you know, I like to try out cheap gear, see what it can do. And this kit lens is not bad at all, but the zoom ring is not as smooth as I would want it to be for this kind of shot. I was constantly struggling with getting a smooth zoom and then also getting a steady shot. It's not easy. I recommend to try different positions and ways to hold your camera to find out what works best for you. If you have a lens with a smooth zoom ring, then it will be a lot easier. The second in-camera method for this shot is using a gimbal or stabilizer. That will help you to keep a steady shot, and hopefully you can focus more on making a smooth zoom movement and also keeping the subject the same size in the frame. The less you have to think about, the easier it is. I tried with my glide cam because I don't have a gimbal, but I bet it's going to look even better with a gimbal. The thing is, to get the most dramatic effect, you should try to do the whole movement from all the way zoomed out to all the way zoomed in. The problem is that that's quite a distance, and you have to keep a steady shot and perfectly framed while walking that distance. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get it perfect over the whole distance. I could only get a good shot over a small part of the zoom range. Let's say from 15 to 25 or something like that. So if you have a gimbal and you want to try this out, let me know how it goes. I think it would look really cool if you could do it over the whole zoom range of the lens you have. When you can't get it right in camera, there's always faking it without zooming at all. Now, that does work, but there are a few things I have to say about this technique. First of all, you're going to have to scale your footage in an editing program. And the more you can scale the footage, the more dramatic the effect will be. So to keep your image quality as good as possible, it's better to shoot in 4K. That way you can scale the footage, but still have good quality footage in 1080p. Okay, how do we do this? Well, it's pretty simple. Do the same thing, but don't zoom. Just move towards your subject or away from it, and that's it. The rest we'll do in our editing program at the end of the video. It's super easy, you'll see. And of course, you can also do this faking technique with a gimbal or stabilizer. I already showed you that I did the in-camera technique with a stabilizer, and I told you that I don't have a gimbal, but actually I do have a gimbal, my Mavic Air 2. So I tried it with a drone because it shoots 4K. Now, just a warning guys, please don't fly towards your subject because you want to come really close, and that's not safe. You're gonna hurt somebody. The safest way is to start close and move away from the subject, because you can always reverse the footage and that way no one will get hurt. Also, always check that your controls are not reversed or something like that, or it won't end well for whoever's in front of the camera. So how I did it is I positioned my drone and then I asked Joanna to walk close to the drone. I didn't fly the drone towards her face, you know? And then I flew the drone away from Joanna. I never ever flew towards her face. Now it's time to edit, so let's try to fake the dolly zoom in our editing software, and you can do this in most programs in under 5 minutes. It's super easy. I'm going to use the GoPro footage because it's 4K. I also tried the 4K on my Canon M50, but it didn't work as well. The problem is that 4K has a big crop, so it's difficult to keep the shot steady, and also the autofocus doesn't work at all when using the 4K mode. If your camera has a good 4K mode, then I'm pretty sure it will look even better than this GoPro footage. Okay, so import your clip into the editing software and find the best part. I'll take this part right here, starting close to the face. Then the camera moves away, and this is the tricky part. The longer you make the clip here, so the longer you let the camera move away from the subject, the more you'll have to scale. And more scaling means less image quality. Try to find a balance between those two. Depending on the purpose, I think scaling until 200% might still be okay. It also depends on the quality of your 4K footage. Okay, I'll cut it right here. I think that's fine. Delete the rest. Now, the important part. We need to add keyframes. So, a keyframe for the position and zoom or scale at the start of the clip. We don't need to change the numbers here at the start of the clip because this is the size we want our subject in the frame. Then move to the end of the clip and also add 2 keyframes. And here we need to scale and zoom and possibly also reposition the clip. So let's zoom to, I think, around 170% here. Yeah, that looks fine. And also a keyframe for the position so that the position of the subject is the same in the beginning of the clip and at the end of the clip. Move it a little bit. There, I think that looks okay. Now, if you play this, it looks like a dolly zoom. Pretty cool, right? And from here you can play around with it even more. You can even add a rotation keyframe and make the clip rotate slightly while doing the dolly zoom. So you can get creative with this effect and make it as crazy as you want. And that's it, guys. A few different techniques to do the dolly zoom or vertigo effect. Try it out, let me know what works best for you, and also try out different subjects and different backgrounds. I think you can find some pretty cool combinations here. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.